Hello YouTube. It's been 1, 2, 3 months since I uploaded. My excuse is it's been winter and I make most of my videos outside, and you'll see this video here. I made it in my garage a couple months ago. I just haven't put it together yet, and I wanted to actually drive this E38 after doing all that for a while to, you know, show that it worked. But this video, I wasn't gonna upload it too because you guys are E46 guys, and some of you guys might like 7 Series or be interested in them. So I'm gonna upload this video. It's just timing chain guides, chains, Vanos rebuild, reseal, everything like that, alternator, water pump, cooling system, all that stuff. If you guys are interested in E38, you know, it'd be a good video to watch, to know what to expect if you get one that hasn't been gone through yet, because most of them, they haven't. That's why you don't see them on the road. And I apologize for taking forever to upload, but here soon, you know, the days are getting longer. Today's actually 60. It's really hot in this car right now. But I wanted to make it in this car because it sounds so good in here, because it's an E38. It's luxury, baby. And it's actually kind of clapped, to be honest with you. But you know what? Everything in my driveway is, you know, this just, it's like a luxury clapped, you know. It's not perfect, but compared to my 46s, it feels pretty cool. I don't know what I'm talking about, but let's get on with this video. I'm not going to show you step by step. There's plenty of videos out there. I'm just going to make videos over how much it sucks, progress, final outcome, if it runs, if it's timed right, all that kind of stuff. This ain't an E46, and on E46s, I don't even show basic stuff. I just show the turbo stuff, things that aren't all over the internet. But this is like an E46. Unplug the plug that goes to the oil level sensor. That's always great. That's how you know it's original, and all your gaskets are probably original. But you think getting the little clips off the fuel injectors are hard on an E46? This one's wild. This fuel rail here, this crazy looking fuel rail, blocks every single one of them. Finally got it, blew everything out before I pulled the injectors out, because this was full of all kinds of dirt and stuff. But looks like we're close to pulling the manifold off and seeing how shot everything is under it. Not a big deal if it is. That's why I ordered everything. Well, we got some oil there. That's probably from bad CCV. And this is part of the crankcase system. The oil separation valve is actually in the engine behind the timing cover right there. So that's where that feeds from the back of the manifold. And let me tell you, that wasn't working. We're making it somewhere. I truly don't believe that that intake manifold has ever been off this engine, based on the scum under it and how deteriorated all the hoses are. Disgusting. I got new gaskets for all those. And then back here is another part of the CCV. It's not necessarily the separation valve, the oil separation, because that's in the engine. I'll put a picture up of it so you guys know what I'm talking about. I'm not crazy, I promise. On E46, it would be under the manifold. This is under the timing cover. But this is another part of it, and it's shot. It's covered in oil. This is definitely what was leaking behind the manifold. That little black, can't really point at it, down there, that's your CCV, your separator valve. And then if you look there on the left side, you can see the main guide, which still has the guide on it. I would have heard that, but this is gonna be hard, the Vanos stuff. But I'm actually kind of happy with how clean this is for how long it sat. I got to take this valve cover off right now. And I mean, just look how fun it's going to be. I mean, I'm sure it's not that bad, but it's just not really convenient. So I got to get that side off. This side was really easy. Then I'm going to try the next fun task, and that's going to be, does the clutch fan come off easily? Because I've had to break these things off. All right, so I have the best of the best eBay E46 clutch fan tools. And let me tell you, that's beautiful. It got it. Remember guys, these are reverse threaded. I always have to think about it. And I bumped this with my hand and it broke all the OEM factory zip ties. So that sucks. I'm gonna have to order some BMW zip ties for that. No, I'm not peeing in the garage. I'm just draining this orange coolant. Some people would throw a fit, but guess what? I'm just glad it had antifreeze in it and not straight water, because I didn't really think about that and it sat 3 years. So I'm totally fine with that. Reason I'm making this clip here is because I'm showing you guys the weird stuff that our E46s don't have. So your upper radiator hose here has a hose coming off the bottom that goes to the alternator. Yeah, I said it. Some of you guys may know, but that is the water-cooled alternator. It was not charging at all, and I did not spend $1,000 on it. That's how much the remans are. You can get cheaper ones for $5 or $6. I got one on eBay for 150 bucks, OEM, Bosch, tested good. So they say. But I have not removed that valve cover yet, because I realized I had so much stuff in here that I need to remove yet, and I didn't really want to open the engine up more, because I really don't want to paranoid myself of, did I drop something in the engine? Surely not. I'm sure some of you guys lay in bed at night and think about that. But look at all this room. Just little things, not watching any videos on how to do this, just going at it. And honestly, if you care a lot about your vehicle and, oh hey, also make sure you leave your razor blades wide open like that too. You might be sent to the hospital instead of finishing your timing chain guides, which is better, I don't know. But back to this again. If you care about your vehicle and you don't work on cars a lot, don't just get into it and start tearing stuff apart without watching the video. It's just still leaking coolant. Just weird talking over that sound. It sounds like I'm in a restroom right now, but I promise I'm just in my garage. I got to figure out how to delete this EGR. Not only because I don't want to keep ordering parts, but it runs all the way across the front of the engine. These hoses and stuff go on top of the manifold. There's a electric relay or valve that sits on top of the manifold. And remember, like I said, I think in the last video, Ricer Me is not gonna put the beauty cover back on because I want to see that pretty intake manifold, and that's just because I can. So I'm trying to keep all the crap off the top of it, and most of the stuff on top of that manifold is this EGR evap junk. So I'm going to attempt to delete this. All right, now for the bolt that I've watched many people just snap ratchets over. So we're gonna try to use this impact first. I had to modify a socket because I only had deep well in a 27. So we're gonna try this here. There it is. Oh, I don't use this impact much, but let me tell you, the little times I've needed it, it's already got its money's worth. Check out that Harbor Freight deep well. I know it doesn't really look like much, but there's so much stuff that was in here. Just getting the valve covers off alone required so much work. The little plastic tabs that pop behind here, they're all broken. So this guide moves. And these guides on the sides usually aren't really the downfall of these engines. It's usually this main one, but just showing you guys where I'm at on this. So to get this timing cover off, you gotta take the oil pan off, which I hadn't even drained the oil yet. I need to do that anyways. And then the pan is really easy on these cars. It's not like an E46. And then I can get to the rest of the bolts that are inside of the pan. So the bolt's conveniently right in the middle, right? I mean, why is that? Figured it would seep a little before it completely came out. It was held on by 1/4 of a thread. Well, we'll let that drain. I don't know how much this thing even holds. I need to start looking into my timing tools and reading how to set this thing up. Technically, I should have already put the pin in it to lock this, the flywheel lock. But you know, I kind of forgot. Honestly, I didn't look up the timing procedure before tearing this all apart. As you can see, the guides are on their way out for sure. That's supposed to be connected back here, but the clips are broke on it. It's not supposed to have any movement at all. Oh man, that's scary. So good thing we're doing this. 130,000 miles. Some people make it to 200, but I'm sure their guides are really bad then. All right, so I broke all 4 of these bolts loose on front of the 4 cams. And let me tell you, terrifying. I don't know what those are torqued to yet. I'll know when I reassemble it, but it's insane. And then the blue stuff you see is the German Auto Solutions timing kit. So I got those in. Little tricky. Their instructions are perfect. It's just tricky regardless, because even though I have this at top dead center with the locking tool in the flywheel, I still had to rotate these cams a little bit, but I know they're in the right spot because these tools don't fit if they're not, and the lettering is on top of the flats on the back of the cams. I pulled this guide here, and if you look at it, looks like an M54 guide. I mean, that's not bad. These aren't the ones that usually die. It's that one in the middle. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. Here is the other guide. Looks normal. You're gonna get that. But where the crankcase vent pops into the guide, I don't know why it works like that. You can see that I totally forgot to remove the bolt. That's why it broke, but this is why I'm not making a tutorial. Don't do that. That should come out now, maybe? Oh my gosh, it's just falling apart. I mean, of course it's going to. It's in the engine, it's plastic, but I'll get that the rest of the way out once I get this chain and then this horseshoe looking guide out. What a mess. This stuff is all so brittle. I got all the bolts out of this, I promise. And look at this. Oh, all right. That's supposed to come off with the other piece. And well, this is very deep. Like you can usually see where the chain will track on a M5X engine, but this one is way worse. And that's not supposed to just fall off there. All right. And now you can take the CCV part out of here. It's falling apart. Like, I'm not even trying to break it. It's just already brittle and cracked before I even touched it. Real quick, this video is not sponsored or anything, but FCP Euro, basically everything in this video came from FCP Euro. And there's a few things that didn't because I may have got them used on eBay, like the alternator and stuff like that. But I've said it in my past videos, you're gonna get your order from FCP Euro within days usually without even paying for the extra faster shipping. Just make sure that when you check out, it shows that they have it in stock. But I just want to give a huge shout out to them because every time I've ordered from them, I've never got anything damaged. New upper tensioner guides going in, top and bottom, both sides. These are getting wore out. I don't really think they're gonna wear all the way through, but these tabs on the bottom will break and wipe your engine out. So, new guides going on there. So I put the new guides on these tensioners because I wanted to save $200 or whatever instead of buying new tensioners. And I put a new O-ring because this is pressurized. I think the M54 ones are too. So I put a new O-ring on that. New guides, retorque those. New Vanos units going on. Not new, but rebuilt. Do not recommend it. It sucked. The special tools, they work, but it's pretty sketchy. The seals, you can't see them. And when you install them, you really can't see what you're doing. And the press tool actually smashes down this housing right here because I guess a lot of play ends up in there on this plastic piece. So maybe that's your main rattle noise, I don't know. But new Vanos going in. I say new, rebuilt Vanos going in. And everything from here is gonna be new stuff. No more tearing this thing down. Hopefully we're done. Secondary tensioner is looking good on both sides. Time to go ahead and get the Vanos on with some new camshaft chains. I'm just kind of moving right along now. It feels good putting new parts on here. All right, so I'm not showing a lot of this because, well, I don't want to focus on recording because I want to make sure I'm following these instructions correctly. But got the new guides on. Everything's tightened up. Really weird screw in here that you have to transfer from the old one that pushes up against this piece, which is the part of this oil separator back here. I have all the new guides on. Using the German Auto Solutions kit right now to time it. There's a lot to go yet on the timing, but I'm feeling okay about it. And the Vanos, like I mentioned, is rebuilt and it's freezing in here. So in the instructions on timing these, you're supposed to use a multimeter, put it on your ohms, and if you have the beep function, you want to use it so that you can hear it beep like that. So when you time these, yes, use a multimeter. It's crazy. You ground out your lead wherever on the block, and then these pins right here, you touch them and it should beep with your Vanos clocked counterclockwise and all the way. You'll feel it stop really hard, so then you should hear it beep like it's making connection after you feel that hard stop. And this doesn't matter here, but just showing that my meter works. And then you touch here, on none of those pins it works. We'll just get rid of that somewhere. It says if you don't have multimeter, just turn these with the Vanos tool until it hard stops all the way counterclockwise, and then hold the Vanos tool in there with it all the way counterclockwise and start tightening it down. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm not showing much of this at all because I've just been working on it and not recording. I'm sorry. But new Valley pan in there, the cover, and then everything else looks so good now that everything's clean. The only thing that's dirty yet is that awful alternator bracket, but I could probably wash that once this thing's all together. And that oil pan's a little dirty yet down there, but it's coming along. Still kind of nervous. I really hope I timed it correctly, but unfortunately it's one of those things where you won't know till you try to start it. So hopefully everything's good. It is getting cold in here, but I got the coolant pipes on, the NOx sensors, which I nearly forgot, and that crossover there for the CCV from the timing cover to the back of the manifold. So now I'm going to put the new manifold on. All new gaskets everywhere, and starting to look like an engine again. Starting to feel better about all this. Still don't know if it'll run though. New water pump on. These things are huge. I got the thermostat on the side. I'm glad that I went ahead and bought a new water pump. I almost did not because I figured the one I had worked, it'd be okay. But after finding out all the stuff you have to remove, I wouldn't want to just do a water pump on the side of the road or something on this car, especially since it doesn't have an electric fan. It has a clutch fan, which I got a new clutch fan too, so it don't sound like a jet taking off. But making this clip mainly because here is something that should never exist. An O-ring for your alternator, not your water pump. About said water pump, that'd be okay. But no, for your alternator. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the alternator put in its little housing down there. All right, so I'm really far. This does not look pretty anymore. Thank you, BMW. Usually their wiring harnesses are great, but this thing is massive and it really takes away the look of your beautiful intake manifold. I think we're good. I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to crank this with the fuel pump fuse unplugged, because if you start them after doing guides, it sounds horrible because none of the tensioners have oil pressure yet. That is not how it's going to stay. That's why I'm clearing that up. But I'm gonna set the camera up, find the fuel pump fuse. Wait a minute, I didn't plug the fuel rail in. I need to do that. That would have been a mess. I'm gonna set the camera up, unplug the fuel pump fuse, crank it to build the oil pressure in those 3 tensioners so it doesn't sound like a blender when I turn it on. Plug it back in and hopefully this thing fires up. I'm nervous. I've never worked on one of these and I just did a ton of work to it. I'm gonna go ahead and plug that in. Honestly, that sounded awesome. It didn't even make any weird noises, so. I'm not the one to like hype stuff up or anything. I'm usually really quiet, but this thing